We had successfully worked with director Alexey Gusev in the past, so we gladly accepted his proposal to work on T-34. Moreover, he wanted to tell an action story in a visually stunning way. We used all kinds of visual effects in the movie. Matte painted backgrounds with 3D partial replacement, full replacement of backgrounds with CGI, rotoscoping, 3D extras, character animation, full CGI shots, and effect simulation of all kinds. There were 8 VFX vendors from Russia, the Ukraine, Belarus, and the United States on this project. The opening sequence is one of the most complex creative tasks because of the length of the scene, 3D tracking of a slightly shaking camera, and anamorphic optics. As you can see, we significantly improved the shots, changing not only the scene elements, but also the mood of the shot. We thoroughly prepped the opening sequence. A storyboard was drawn, animations were created, but the weather changed our plans. The location and sets were covered with snow, therefore we had to make a decision about the environment. As a result, most parts of the background had to be added on computer. The truck was shot without glass windows in order to avoid reflections of location, which was supposed to be replaced. Tank firing round in a slow-mo is the most spectacular scene. It was essential to show effectively and convincingly the flight path of the shell and how it barely misses the characters. The actors were replaced with geometry, followed by the projections of their textures in order to make freeze-time effect. Director Alexey Gusev paid great attention to details. Not only artistic, but also military truth was very important to him. What was the size of the trenches and the distance between them? What was the number of Czech hedgehogs? And what direction did the barrels of the burned-out tanks look at? It was an unusual challenge to convey the idea from 1 head to 100, so that people became interested, picked up and fulfilled all the wishes of the director, which changed several times during the editing process.
Даже один танк — это сила.
The tank battle episode in the village is one of the most complex in the film. We carefully prepared for it, developing a tactical scheme of the battle.
О, поползли як воши от керосину.
Some of the tanks in this scene are brought from museums, but the number of them was not enough. It was necessary to find a solution for multiplying 3 tanks into 9. We used the blue chroma tank based on the vehicle called Gas, which could be replaced through smoke, trees and other elements by CGI model. This solution saved a large number of shots, and we used the chroma tank very often. Tank shots are effect simulation. We spend much time on RD stage to make tanks shoot differently, but realistic and based on historical references. We took plays for wide shots from copter in order to enhance them on post-production. Snow, military vehicles and soldiers in these shots are generated on computer. Much time was spent on adjusting the animation rig to achieve a believable behavior and sense of weight. Rig and animation worked out all the mechanical nuances of tracks and rollers. At the beginning we even went too far. Tanks began to look too heavy in comparison with real ones, and the director even called them irons. But after all of the improvements were made, even a person from the visual effects industry wouldn't guess where was the real tank and where was the CGI. Slow motion is an iconic effect of the movie. We watched videos of slow-mo bullet tests shot with 1 million frames per second. and the director thought that there was a certain magic in it. In general, there are a lot of facts about crew surviving after the battle in a tank completely riddled by bullets and shells. It is hard to explain. The director wanted to show what happens when the shell hits armor. The scene with the shell hitting the tank is one of the most complex in the history of Algous Studio. The post-production process lasted for almost 2 years. After the interior of the tank was recreated in computer graphics, we ran a simulation process for smoke, sparkles and splinters. Dozens of iterations and thousands of render hours, but the final result was worth it. The interior of all tank assets were done by our partners from Film Direction Effects. I would like to thank Eugene Gisev and Andrei Bogomolov for their help in realizing the shot. We see actors driving a real tank in all scenes without slow-mo. The prisoners' camp was shot in the Czech Republic on the territory of Terezin. The location was great, but it needed to be scaled and extended. Besides that, we did crowd simulation for guards and prisoners using motion capture. The workshops were filmed in the suburbs of Moscow and required background replacement. We did it with the help of Kinopost Studio, helmed by Andrei Bondar. Battlefield was stitched with 2 different locations with the help of Kinopost. All wide shots through binoculars were heavily enhanced with CGI. Spectacular scene of the parking lot with tank damaging cars was done by Bogdan Olennik and his team from Postmodern. We started with a small Visumatic and previsors at pre-production. Guys did their job very well, generating believable destruction. The director liked the final animation and how animators showed the weight of the tank.
Это что? Немецкий автопром! Был!
A great number of shots devoted to the forest chase and airplane were done in collaboration with Tryokhmer, headed by Konstantin Distratov. We produced a big asset with a scale 5 by 5 kilometers, which included forests, roads, river, etc. After that, we focused at any particular part of it and refined details through many iterations until it looked believable. We couldn't find the real plane for the film. The only one we had was rebuilt and modernized, so it couldn't be used. Therefore, we shot chromoplane without any texture, and then replaced it with CGI model.
Hier Standartenführer Jäger. Ich habe sie gefunden. Bis morgen früh 8 Uhr sind die Flüchtigen liquidiert.
German Klingenthal was shot in 2 different Czech towns, which were supposed to look like one city. To do this, we had to carefully go through pre-production in order to understand which part of the battle we're going to shoot where. So the audience will not understand that the battle was staged in 2 different towns.
Давай сейчас назад, ныряй в проулок, в обход пойдем.
Driving tanks that could damage the cobblestones were also filmed using CGI tanks.
Ивушкин слетает вот сюда. Разворачивает башню и херачит ее успевает.
The scene with night tank driving along narrow streets was among the most challenging ones. The thing out to damage walls and break through the store. The whole episode was made by vfx and Ed Kargin, for which many thanks to him. Only the final drive through the store was filmed alive on location in Czech Republic. The final tank duel between the main hero and Jogger is on the bridge. We originally wanted to shoot on the real bridge and block it.
Башня, Ягера, который стоит. А где голова Ивушкина? Голова Ивушкина синяя, вот она, вот она.
Because we couldn't wait for appropriate lighting, I suggested the director to make the whole episode on CG, in order to have complete freedom in post-production. The episode entrusted the studio film Direction Effects, headed by Eugene Gitsegrad. They worked on the episode using previs, which I had made during production period. The scenes with Ivyshkin on the tank and the falling down Jogger were filmed in Moscow with the blue background. The actor was rigged with the wiring system. We would like to thank the editor Dmitry Korabelnikov for creative preparation and great attention to our department.
Ну шо? Кончились фрицы!
I would like to thank all specialists involved in this project: artists, supervisors, producers, coordinators. I think that with this incredible effort, we made great, spectacular and cool movie.